Go.
Okay, guys. So we're gonna do FRQ 3, right? So how do you start this? Well, for starters, here you go. Don't even bother to read the problem. All you're gonna do is go to port C, and then look at section C2, right? So it says describe the rate of change on the interval T1, T2, T1, T2. Well, T1 is K, and T2 is P. So let's go back to the graph. So we're looking for K and point P, right? So here it is, alright? So what's happening here? Obviously this is concave down, meaning rate of change is gonna decrease. Okay, so you get a point there right off the bat. So all you have to say is concave down, rate of change, remember, because that's what we're talking about, right? Rate of change is decreasing on the interval T1, comma, T2. That's all you have to do. Literally, just figure out, is it concave up or is it concave down, alright? So from point K to P, concave down. So now we go back. Now we're gonna start reading. Now we're gonna try to figure out what the heck are we talking about here, right? So the question is focused, looking at the figure, right? We're talking about miniature golf, right? So one of the obvious things that I want to do is start out by finding my y's, right? Because if I find my y's, I'm going to be able to get at least 3 other points, right? So if I look at the figure here, right? This would be my max, and this right here is going to be my minimum, right? So this is going to reach all the way to 10, and this one's going to reach all the way to -2. So going from this, right, just looking at those two numbers, right, for FRQ3, most of the scenarios involve two numbers to try to figure out the value for the height, right? So going based on this, what I want to do is just literally add these two numbers. Well, it's a negative, does it matter? No, just treat it as a positive. So 10 plus 2, we get 12. And now what you want to do is figure out the amplitude, right? So what do? Well, divide by 2, right? And in this case, this transfers to 6. So right off the bat, we already found the amplitude, right? This right here is not your midline, right? So what do you want to do from there? So what you want to do is take that 6 and subtract it from 10, or you can take that 6 and add it to the -2. Whichever works, right, for you. Both of them are going to give you the same answer. So the answer it's going to give you is going to be the midline. The midline is going to be, well, 4 in this case, right? So, believe it or not, we already get a point. Because on part B, you need to find A, B, C, and D. A is the amplitude, right? From the midline, I go up 6. From the midline, I go down 6, right? So that's what the amplitude means. The midline is the letter D. Here, in this case, it's 4, right? So, believe it or not, we already got a point for part B, right? And without even reading the problem, right, going back over here, you already also found your y values. So we have points F, G, J, K, and P, right? So here, when I set up my coordinates, right, for all of these, I'm just gonna put it over here, right? Just save some space, right? So maximum is 10, so these two are 10. Minimum is -2, so the J is -2 for the Y. And my midline is, we already said it was 4. And there you go, you get another point, right? So now, what else could I find? What else could I find? Now if I go to the actual text, being shown here, right? It's saying there's one rotation every 20 seconds. So one rotation every 20 seconds. Basically, this is giving you is a period. right? Because it's already set up for you, one rotation. So P equals to 20, okay? So going from there, let's say they say 20 rotations every second, right? Whenever the scenario is shown like this, that 20, you have to get the reciprocal of it to find the period. All right, I forgot a 0 here. So that's the difference between this one that was given in this example, or let's say if it's not one rotation, what do? We'll just take the reciprocal to find the period. Okay, so now going from here, I know that my period is 20, right? And it's telling us that according to this, at time equals to 0, we're starting at the lowest point, which is at -2. Meaning, if I go back over here to my coordinates, if I go back over here, this is telling me that at -2, right, we're gonna be at 20, right? So now, if that is 20, well, where's my 0? Where's my actual starting point, right? Because I cannot put 0 here. 0 is either going to be here in this point, the maximum, in the midline, or we're going to start it over here in the beginning. 1, 2, 3 different scenarios where 0 could be involved. In our case, since we're starting at the minimum, the only minimum that occurs before the J is going to be this one, the one we drew. So here, we're going to have 0, right? My Y is going to stay the same. But from here to here, that is one cycle, because if I take this, copy, paste it, right, that's one period being repeated. So now, how do I figure out the rest, right? Because I still need F, G, K, and P, right? So when I look at F is between the one we drew and J. It's right in the middle. So think about it, if I go from 0 to 20, what's half of 20? What's 10, right? Now, from here, if this is 10, and now this is 20 for J, F and J, right? 10 to 20. What's in between both of those? Well, 15. And notice here how we're increasing by 5s. So then this is 25, and this is 30, right? So what about on this one, this other one, the one in the midline? Well, I know my Y is 4, right? But what's in between 0 and 10? Well, it's 5, right? And there you go. You figured out your X values. You get another point. So that brings me to the final question, or the final two questions, right? What is the B value? Right? What is that? Well, I know the equation has to start off with this. In order to find it, P, which is the period, is equal to 2 pi over B, right? So I need to rearrange this. So the way to do it is just switch the period and the value of B, right? So here you go. So what is P? Well, P, we said it was 20. So we take that into consideration. You have 2 pi over 20, and if I try to simplify that, you get pi over 10, and that's the value for B. Well, what about C? What about the phase shift, right? So for this one, since we need to figure out what it's asking for, right? If I go down over here to section B, right? I'm focused on cosine, right? So cosine, you have to remember that cosine starts off in the very, very, very top. It starts off at the maximum. So here, right, it's gonna be F. So this one's 10. Okay, you get another point right there because we already found the value for B and the value for C. Now, the last thing to do, right, is to figure out, if I may, erase all of this, alright? If I may erase all of this real quickly, right? And this over here, we already used it. What I want to keep is my points, right? So it's saying here on part C1, on the interval T1 to T2, which of the following is true about H? So is it positive, negative? So let's go back again to the graph, right? KP, it's right here, right? So going based off of this, from K to P, my Y's are both positive, right? And what's happening to the graph? Well, if you bring back the plus 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 or minus minus minus, the graph is increasing, right? This is based on function behavior. So here on this last part, my answer should be positive and increasing, which is A. And there you go, he's got all 6 points.